Believe it or not, a war prophecy might be hidden in a seemingly ordinary boy's magazine. Did Saint John Bosco receive a divine message for the future? Join us as we go over his cryptic fictional story that concealed God's words to the people of Italy about the Crimean War. Buckle up, because this rabbit hole goes deep. The Miracles and Prophecies of Saint John Bosco, a project of America Needs Fatima. I'm your host, Matthew Miller. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. A power struggle in the Middle East sparked the Crimean War. From 1853 to 1856, Russia faced off against a surprising alliance: Britain, France, the Ottomans, and yes, even Italy. In 1855, the Kingdom of Sardinia, led by Cavour, sent troops to fight alongside Britain and France to gain favor for the unification of Italy. The fight was brutal, especially on the Crimean Peninsula, but the combined forces eventually outmatched Russia's defenses. This defeat weakened Russia's influence for years to come. But during the war, no one in Piedmont had a clue how things would turn out, except Saint John Bosco, of course. He began preparing his next edition of the National Catholic Almanac in July of 1855. It was called Il Galantuomo, which is Italian for good fellow, trustworthy man, or simply the gentleman. Don Bosco had started the magazine to offset the heretical writings of a Protestant sect called the Waldensians. Every time he came out with a new Catholic publication, it infuriated them to the point of sending death threats. The two previous issues of Il Galantuomo had been very successful, but even before publication, this one sparked great interest because of several predictions it had made. Seeing as God himself had revealed the events of other wars to him, this wouldn't be out of character for Don Bosco. If you don't believe me, please click on the link above for reference. One of the sections in this magazine contained a fictional story with Il Galantuomo as its main character. Unable to enlist due to his wooden leg and a touch of deafness, our good man felt a burning desire to contribute to the war effort. With his options limited, he seized an unexpected opportunity. A merchant provisioning troops in the Crimean conflict needed a helping hand. Il Galantuomo, ever the resourceful fellow, saw his chance and signed on, eager to witness history firsthand. Reaching the Crimean Peninsula, he found the landscape surprisingly familiar. Yet, a pervasive tension hung in the air. Fear lurked around every corner as the dreaded cholera disease began to ravage the soldiers. In the midst of all this suffering, Il Galantuomo couldn't stand idle. He donned the mantle of a caregiver, offering whatever comfort and assistance he could to the sick. A shocking number of their soldiers died of cholera in Don Bosco's story, and as you'll see later, this was a prediction that would prove to be true. Il Galantuomo buried the dead, and it was then that our good fellow, overwhelmed with sadness, decided it was time to go home. One evening, a peculiar man showed up speaking in the familiar Piedmontese dialect, saying that he would take the good fellow to a very wise old man who would tell him of the war's future. Il Galantuomo was taken aback. What were the chances that he would find someone who spoke his native tongue way out there? Nevertheless, he went along. Now I shall quote directly from Don Bosco's story, for herein lies the main prophecy. But first, if you'd like to enroll in our Saturday Mass intentions for the promoters of Saint John Bosco, just click on the link in the description below. Father Jerry will offer a Mass in the traditional Byzantine rite for all of your intentions. For those that actually want to help me spread the message of Saint John Bosco, this is a great way to do it. Thank you so much, and God reward you. Our saint wrote as follows: "He took me by the hand, made me walk through various streets, then he took me to a house. Oh, there was no end to it. We went into a room, through a corridor, then other rooms, other galleries, other corridors, up and down until, after having walked for 2 hours in the dark, I found myself in a beautifully decorated and resplendent cave. At first glance, I didn't realize that any other mortal was there. Then I saw a venerable old man sitting at a table. He had hair as white as snow. His face was somewhat wrinkled, but lively, vigorous, and majestic. He was reading a book attentively, on whose spine I could see written, 'Experience, the Great Teacher.' As he noticed our arrival, he slowly raised his gaze, and still remaining seated, began to speak thusly. What desire prompted you to come to this place, separated from the dwellings of mortals?" My guide replied, "We come here to offer you our respects and ask you to reveal to us the destinies of the war and our country." The old man responded, "The destinies of the war and your country are known only to God and to those whom He deigns to reveal them. Be well aware, I will tell you as much as can already be made manifest to men. The war is still long and will be fierce. Great battles, great bloodshed. The slaughter and damage will be equal to the victory of the Allies. Until mankind is at the same time afflicted by famine, war, and pestilence, the world will not have peace. You gentlemen will return to your homeland. It will be horribly scourged by mortality this year, and since men will attribute this scourge to chance, they will follow it with extreme evils. Hailstorms, droughts, earthquakes, famine, commercial failures will follow. To these blows from the divine hand, men will respond with sacrilegious thefts, murders, blasphemies, and impiety. Therefore, the fate of your homeland will be worse. Tell your friends that there they want to destroy the throne and religion. The first will crumble, but nothing will avail against the second. If the repentance of men does not change the decrees of God, we will see things unheard of in all past times. Religion will be defended with the heads and blood of its ministers and its faithful. Many will prevaricate, many will be steadfast to death. After that, the rule of men will cease. God alone will command. Then the wicked would rather not exist because it is no longer their time. God must be glorified, the wicked punished, the good uplifted. After that, there will be universal peace." I wanted to speak, but the old man immediately interjected, "Be silent. I must never be interrupted when I speak. You wanted to ask me when all these evils will happen. Know then that they have already begun. Various ones are taking place this very year, the others afterwards. And if men continue to despise the divine law, the scourges will be far more terrible than what has been predicted. The only means to mitigate them and obtain a better destiny is the abandonment of impiety." Hearing these things, I was wondering if I was dreaming, if what I saw with my eyes and heard with my ears was even real. I wanted to ask him many more questions, but I was so stunned by the misfortunes he announced for our country that I no longer dared to speak. I thanked him, bowed deeply, and left. The guide made me take the same route as before. I asked him several times to tell me the name of the person with whom we had spoken, and he wouldn't answer me anything on the subject. My friends, I don't know if you'll believe what I've told you. Do as you wish. As for myself, I'll believe these things as they gradually come true. If I'm still alive next year, I'll have many more serious, strange, and very important things to tell you. Don Bosco had begun writing these pages in July with little to no news from the front. Meanwhile, this is what was happening in the Crimea. In May of 1855, the Piedmontese had landed at Balaclava and laid siege to it, but soon they were stricken with cholera. Many soldiers and officers died. On September 8th, French troops, supported by the British, stormed and seized Fort Malakoff. The siege lasted almost a year, with both sides daily unleashing heavy artillery bombardments. It's estimated that 500,000 men fell during this conflict, fulfilling Don Bosco's prediction of a tiring, bloody war. Russia at last gave in, and a peace treaty was signed in March of 1856. Italy was then facing a confluence of disasters that many saw as God's chastisement for the monastic suppression laws. Keep in mind that the Catholic Church holds that a war can be just and legitimate, but as St. Augustine says, war in general is a punishment for sin. Anti-clericalism was rampant in this period, and I have no doubt that the revolutionaries' long-term goal in unifying Italy was to do away with the influence of the Church and the Catholic monarchy as well. It would seem that because of these rebellious attitudes against God, cholera was a persistent problem in the mid-1850s, and the effects of the outbreak lasted a long time. In 1857, a powerful earthquake in Basilicata leveled towns and left thousands dead. It's considered one of the deadliest that have occurred in peninsular Italy, leaving a lasting scar on the region. These tragedies were followed by a period of agricultural hardship during the 1860s, leading to further hunger and strife for the Italian people. But some of the predictions have yet to be fulfilled. So did Don Bosco really transmit a message from God in the pages of a boy's magazine? To me, the evidence is overwhelming, but you can decide for yourself. Whatever it means, the striking story of Il Galantuomo will stay with you long after the final page is turned. If you'd like to enroll in our Saturday Mass intentions, just click on this logo. Thank you for watching, God bless you, and Our Lady keep you.